Hello, everyone. It's Sybil Starr, and I'm here to give the astrology forecast for 2025. It is a very exciting year. I'm calling this the year 2025, the cosmic gateway, as we are really the ascension process is really accelerating, but we also have some very other challenging aspects. So let us begin. So, to begin with, we are being asked to step boldly into the future with faith, courage, and an open heart. We're being asked to reimagine our world, not as it is, but as it could be. On a personal level, we are being called to rise to our highest potential, release what no longer aligns with who we are becoming, and embrace infinite possibilities. We are creating a new world in the shell of the old. And I'm going to share a quote with you here from Vivian Chavez. She is an Arcturian hybrid that I study with. And she says, the 2025 Cosmic Gateway is more than another new year. It is the completion of an old paradigm and a time of significant universal change in frequencies and vibrational stability. In the next level of ascendancy, humanity will experience a new spectrum of sound, light, and frequency, and sacred geometric patterns. The Arcturian's message today is a loving reminder to readjust your vibration and frequency to the more refined electromagnetic field of the Earth. What frequency do you wish to generate, integrate, and implement? Welcome to 2025 and beyond. It is a cosmic gateway. All right. And so, what this is about is why so many astrologers are so excited about 2025 is because all of the outer planets will be changing signs. Oh, well, Pluto already has, but it was just in November, November 19th. But 2025, Pluto will be in Aquarius all year. But these outer planets of, well, first off, of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto and Saturn have been in earth and water, and they are all moving into fire and air. And fire and air, we know that air fans the explosive nature of fire. And so it feels like a real like moving into warp speed consciousness, that there is like a takeoff, and it's like rocket fuel. And I have not been able to find that this has ever happened in recorded history before, where all of the planets are changing at the same signs. And, the early degrees of a sign, the beginning of a sign at the same time. Someone said it happened 12,000 years ago. I have not been able to verify that, but 12,000 years ago was the last time we were in the photon belt, our solar system, and this is where we are right now. We are moving into a higher frequency area in our galaxy, into what's called the Pleiadian photon belt, and in alignment with the star Alcyone or Alcyone. Okay, now the major themes for this year, though, is the first part of the year is very strongly influenced by Mars energy. We have Mars retrograde, Mars is opposite Pluto. Then we have Venus in Aries retrograde. Aries is ruled by Mars, Mercury in Aries retrograde, Chiron in Aries, and Saturn and Neptune both enter Aries at 0 degrees, and they enter it together. Aries is very much about personal sovereignty, courage, bold action, and assertiveness. And it also brings up conflict, anger, and aggression. Okay. The second major theme that I see is completions and beginnings. And the indigenous people have been saying that we are in a time of when the end falls into the beginning. And that's exactly where we are. The end falls into the beginning and then back again. So what we have here, we have the nodes of the moon moving from Aries and Libra into Pisces and Virgo. And the thing to remember, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and Aries is the first sign. And so Pisces is about endings, and Aries is about new beginnings. All right. And so, as I said, we have the nodes of the moon moving. We have Venus, Mercury, Saturn, and Neptune all moving from late Pisces into Aries and then back again because of the retrograde motion. We also have the year 2025 is a 9 year, and 9 is a year of completion. Excuse me, 9 is a number of completion. And this is also in Chinese astrology, the year of the snake. And the year of this is the year of the wood snake, which symbolizes transformation, wisdom, and renewal. It represents the closure of old chapters and the beginnings of new ones, encouraging all zodiac signs to embrace change and growth. And then the third theme that I see and it really starts in the second half of the year in July, is the acceleration of consciousness. This is where our ascension process is really uh, put in hyperspeed and technology growth, inner and outer. There is more light on the planet now than ever before, or at least since 12,000 years, as we are traveling through the photon belt and entering the age of Aquarius. It is about warp speed growth in consciousness. Uh, and awakening humanity at even greater levels. We may be getting to some tipping points, shifting realities, and we are also being prepared for open contact with the major star nations involved with humanity are being activated. Jupiter is activating Orion and Sirius this year, and Uranus is activating the Pleiades, and Uranus is going to be activating the Pleiades for a good 18 months. It just because it's a very slow moving planet. Jupiter is going to cross over the stars of Orion and Sirius, but Uranus is really focusing down on the Pleiades. All right. And we're also going to have the rapid acceleration of technology, AI, virtual reality devices, holograms, free energy, all kinds of things showing up in the tech. Well, they're already there, but they're just simply going to be used more. And what is really most important, it's not so much important as what is happening out there, but inside of you, not in the outer world. The key is to stay centered and focused within yourself. Um, as the world is changing rapidly, because the truth is reality really exists in consciousness and it's all in our perception and the world is actually reflecting back to us. Okay. But it's so important to stay centered and grounded, grounded with Mother Earth and centered within yourself. Wendy Kennedy, who works with the Pleiadians, says to ascend, one must be fully present in their body, connected to Mother Earth, and living from the heart. So it's how to navigate these times of rapid change. All right. So the first one we're going to talk about is Mars, because the Mars energy is so strong. It's really strong from, let's say, January 1st through, I'm going to say, well, at least early May, but all through May and June, it's still making some he's making some powerful aspects. Anyway, so Mars is retrograde though. It went retrograde on December 6th at 6 degrees of Leo, and he's gonna stay retrograde until February 23rd at 17 Cancer, moves into Cancer on January 6th. And so Mars, and also Mars is out of bounds. I'm going to be talking about that because that's really significant as well with this very strong Mars Aries energy. All right. So Mars is a warrior and a protector. He asks for courage. It's a planet of action and our direction in life, passion, life force, and free will choice. Mars is about how we express anger, how we deal with conflict, how we stand up for ourselves, and how we say yes and no, making choices. This, yes, I want this. No, I do not want this. It's about personal sovereignty, is what Mars is bringing. The shadow of Mars is rage, aggression, and foolhardiness. Now, Mars, like I said, is retrograde. When Mars is retrograde, he is actually closest to the Earth, so exerts a really strong influence. When Mars stationed retrograde, you may have noticed a drop in energy or confusion about your goals. This is because the energy when Mars is retrograde turns inward, so you can reassess your goals and it can reassess your goals and how you take action to achieve your desires. And a big piece I feel of this Mars retrograde is what do you want? It is getting deeply in touch with your deepest desires and what we really want, and becoming aware of things we may be doing which no longer we really have energy or life force for. We're just doing it because we are. But Mars is maybe wanting some changes made. And also with Mars retrograde, some unresolved anger may come to the surface so that we can clear it and work with it. Now, Mars is out of bounds from December 30th to April 7th, and a planet is considered out of bounds when its declination is beyond the outer bounds or limits of that of the sun. Um, and that's really astrological talk. But what it's really about is that it's gone beyond the let's say the bounds of its normal orbit. Okay. And the energies of an out of bounds planet tends to be a little out of control. And when Mars is out of bounds, we might find that one has a strong physical vitality and passion, a strong urge for adventure, can display extreme boldness, leadership, and confidence. As a matter of fact, many leaders have Mars out of bounds because it really pushes those edges of bold, decisive action. But when afflicted, the dark energy of Mars can come out as violence, anger, impulsive energy, excessive force, and being capable of picking unprovoked fights. So if this Mars is impacting your own chart, it's really important to be aware of your energy. If anger is arising, to get really clear on what it is about and make attempts to be extra kind and considerate. All right. Now, Mars is opposite. We start the year off with Mars in an opposition to Pluto, exact on January 3rd. And then its second exact aspect is on April 18th. And Pluto is said to be the higher octave of Mars. And so it can bring old conflicts to the surface, things we thought we had dealt with. And the thing is to remember it may trigger anger. And the thing about anger is it's important to own it, to know, it's not that someone made you angry. There was some anger there. There was something that needed to come to the surface, needed to get your attention. And when we can no longer blame others, but own our anger, then and get clear on what it's about, it can be a great motivator because often it's about something that needs to change in our lives. Often it's a boundary where we need to say no, or where we're doing something we don't want to do that someone else wants us to do. So it's getting really clear on what it's about so we can make different choices. Pluto shows us our shadow around anger so that we can become self-empowered and clear about our desires and motivations. Mars is also about our free will choice, our egoic will, and Pluto is about divine will. It's our plan, divine plan. And so it's often also showing us, often we don't get what we want when Pluto is in aligned with Mars, because it may be what it is we want does not really serve our highest good or not part of our divine plan. So sometimes we have to deal with disappointment. And so this is another way that, but it's about bringing us into alignment with that, with our divine plan. Okay. It's when we are aligned, Mars and Pluto, when they are aligned, is the kind of energy that can move mountains. Okay. With Mars opposite Pluto, we can see power struggles on a personal level as well as in the world. And of course, warfare on several different levels. And we started off 2025 with two terror attacks. I mean, that's very much a Mars Pluto kind of an energy. And there's conflict happening on many levels. And so in the outer world, and it's just so important to not engage with the conflict in the outer world. The important thing is to stay present to your own growth because it's how you respond to conflict is how you grow and making different choices, and to know which battles to fight, pick your battles. Not every battle is worth fighting. All right. And to understand that the universe does not test you, it reflects you. All right. So if you are having a lot of conflict in your field, as it's coming up, is number one, look at what you're putting into the field. And the second thing is knowing you have a choice of how to respond to it. All right. All right, the year starts with Mars in Leo, but it's only there a few days. It was there throughout, it went in November of 2024. And Mars in Leo is a bold, bright energy, and it's choices we make from the divine light within. Mars moves into Cancer on January 6th. And so it's a much different energy than Leo. We're going to be going back over some old emotional territory. Some sensitive wounds may get poked. We may have a tendency to become defensive. It's a time of emotional turbulence, and it can bring up insecurity. As Cancer is a sign that is very much about safety and security, whereas Leo is really kind of bold and out there. Cancer is really more withdrawn and really wanting to make choices made from security. It is a mama bear aspect. And we could have unresolved conflicts emerge, especially in our family or clan. A mama bear aspect, I want to kind of go back to that, is that it really wants to protect those they love. All right. And like I said, we might have unresolved conflicts emerge, especially in family or clan. But what it's really doing, it is a time of healing these old wounds. Cancer is very connected to love, self-love, love of family. It's affairs of the heart. When Cancer is around, it's about affairs of the heart. So it's a time of healing old hurts, old hurt feelings that we may still be carrying around and not letting go of. It's like they come to the surface. It's like a crisis may ensue so that we can get them to the surface and heal them. Because as we move into the higher frequency dimensions, we need our hearts healed. Because the fifth level, because uh, a fifth dimensional reality is really based in the heart. Okay, so we need our hearts healed. So even though there may be conflict, it is about healing your heart and letting go of old wounds and old grudges. Okay, and of course, on the world stage, we may be going over old conflicts so they can be resolved, especially here in the US as Mars is retrograding Cancer all through January and the inauguration. And so there's some old stuff there that needs to be healed and resolved. All right. Mars re-enters Leo on April 18th and meets Pluto for the final time at 3 degrees 48 minutes of Aquarius on April 26th. I think I gave you a wrong date earlier, but they meet again on April 26th. And it is a much different energy now because now we've been through this whole healing process, healing these old hurts, things that are getting in our way. And so we're much clearer about our objectives and our direction. And if it impacts your chart, it can absolutely move mountains. And the other thing is this Mars, as it goes out of the retrograde zone, on May 2nd, it at Leo 6 degrees. It went retrograde at Leo 6 degrees. So we consider it being out of the retrograde zone when it goes back over that point, which it will do on May 2nd. And the really interesting thing is this is the degree of the North Node in the chart of the United States. And so it's also a new direction for the United States. All right. Now, Pluto in Aquarius, this is, really big. It's the last outer planet to transit Aquarius, really taking us fully into the Aquarian age. And of course, Pluto is the god of death and rebirth and brings deep excavation, self-honesty, and shadow work. And the shadow work, I love this definition. It's any place that we still feel separate from source. Okay. It is old traumas, old wounds that are keeping us feeling separate from source. And have you ever noticed how your greatest insights come not from adding something new, but from seeing through something that was never true? Pluto lifts the veil on what is true. We often have actually long-held beliefs and thoughts that we at some point find they actually were not true. Okay. And Pluto doesn't hand you power, it excavates it from the depths of your soul. And Pluto doesn't transform you, it shatters the false structures you've outgrown so the real you can emerge. Okay. Now, here are some more pieces of Pluto in Aquarius. It's about awakening to authenticity. Pluto in Aquarius isn't just about external change, it's about the unfolding of your innermost truth. It's a cosmic permission slip to finally be who you've always been. Pluto in Aquarius encourages us to shed old identities and societal expectations. It's time to step into your truest self, free from fear of judgment or conformity. It's about a revolution in consciousness. The last time Pluto was in Aquarius was during the American and French revolutions, and it was quite bloody. We don't have to have it happen this time. I think we are in a much different place, and it is about a revolution in consciousness. Pluto says evolve or repeat, and it's about the integration of shadow material and soul healing, becoming whole and remembering who we are. It's about developing, Pluto in Aquarius is about developing our own spiritual technology and psychic gifts, as well as the use of outer technology to serve our spiritual growth. It's about the power of the group. We are so much more powerful when we have done our inner work and then come together in the same resonant field. Without the inner work, the group can devolve to the lowest common denominator, which is fear. The shadow of the group will emerge, which could be a herd or even a mob mentality. It's about the power of the people. And we're going to be seeing increased populist and grassroots movements. And to know, like I said, that we can move mountains when we come together in the same resonant field. And I love this quote. It says, when a complex system is far from equilibrium, small islands in a sea of chaos have the capacity to shift an entire system to a higher order. Small groups working together, they are the ones that really do create change. It doesn't take a large amount of people to shift. It's just small groups being very focused in the same resonant field. All right. And with Pluto in Aquarius, we're being asked to embrace change, connect with community, be innovative spiritually, and to cultivate a global perspective. Shadow of Pluto in Aquarius. Well, I'm going to name a few, but we're going to see it unfold. Okay. And of course, number one is, to me, is the herd or mob mentality, where the needs of the group become more important than the needs of the individual. And both have to be met. Okay. If it's not in your highest good, it's not in the highest good of all. Just remember that. And we're going to be seeing the dark side of bureaucracy. With Pluto in Capricorn, we saw the dark side of the government, of our institutions. Then the Pluto in Sagittarius, we saw the dark side of religion. Well, with Pluto in Aquarius, we're going to see the dark side of bureaucracy, those nameless faces, those nameless people that are really running the show. All right. Our relationship with technology. Now we know that, this is Pluto is going to show us the dark side so that we can absolutely make choices to use technology to further our spiritual growth. But it doesn't have to. We can, what I want to say is technology is not good or bad, but the intention and the consciousness behind it. And know that it is a reflection of our own consciousness. Most very advanced star nations were able to develop their technology to use it to help their own consciousness and spiritual growth and not get caught up in the shadow. And so that's going to be a challenge, okay? Because we know that it has happened before here on Earth. All right. Okay, Pluto is conjunct the stars of Aquila, the eagle. And of course, Aquila, the eagle, brings bold, courageous vision. And the most important thing, I think, too, is that, the eagle is the only animal that goes right into the storm. The eagle flies right into the storm so that he can get above the storm. He knows he has to go through it. And so that's what this, I think, is one of the teachings here is to face the storm, know that we are in the midst of great change and turbulent times, but we have to face it, go through it so that we can get to a higher consciousness. It is all about our frequency. When we can hold our frequency and stay centered within ourselves, that as being our primary source of reality is our inner world. That is how we get through the storm. And Altair, which is the brightest star in Aquila the eagle, is about hearing the celestial call of your soul, your higher calling. We're all being asked to step up now into what is our role in this great paradigm shift that we are experiencing. All right. The next thing is we have Chiron in Aries. Chiron is in a sign 5 years. And so in 2025, Chiron will be going from 19 to 20 degrees of Aries. So if you have planets or angles here, or actually even other cardinal signs, and where the degrees the house that has the degrees 19 to 27 degrees of Aries is very significant. And it's about focus on healing your self-confidence, your personal will, personal sovereignty, and fears of taking initiative or facing challenges. Okay. And Chiron will conjunct Eris at 24 to 25 degrees of Aries in the fall. And Eris is a dwarf planet. And she was in Greek mythology, was the goddess of discord and chaos. She was actually a disruptor. She's actually is a disruptor who challenges the status quo, a rebel. All right. And so this is this is very powerful. And everyone alive now, I believe, has Eris and Aries. So we all may be challenged to disrupt the status quo. All right. Now that is the first theme. The second theme is where the end falls into the beginning, completions and beginnings. And so what we have are planets who are at the intersection of Pisces, which is ending and completion, and Aries, which is about new beginnings. So as I said, it's when the end falls into the beginning. And I felt like the Sabian symbols for the last degree of Pisces and the first degree of Aries were very significant. So the Sabian symbol, and for those who don't know what the Sabian symbols are, there was a psychic named Elsie Wheeler, and back in the 1930s had a vision for every degree of the zodiac, and it often brings a deeper level of meaning and understanding. All right, so 29 degrees of Pisces. It is a majestic rock formation resembling a face, is idealized by a boy who takes it as his ideal of greatness. And as he grows up, he begins to look like it. So I think what this is asking is how do you see yourself? Because how you see yourself is what is being reflected back to you. Okay. And what do you want to be? Or who do you want to be? Not what, who do you want to be? Do you like that reflection? because I feel like with 0 degrees Aries, we're given a new chance at a new identity, a new piece of our identity developing. And so the Sabian symbol for Aries, 0 to 1 degrees, is a woman has risen out of the ocean. A seal is embracing her. This is about new beginnings and potentiality. But what it is, it's about arising from the collective unconscious into the awareness of self. And this is Aries point, which is the most important point in the whole zodiac, the most sensitive. 0 Aries is the beginning of the zodiac. It's connected to spring equinox. And it's always an activator of new beginnings, and is activated many times with the retrograde motion of Venus and Mercury, as well as Saturn and Neptune, who are traveling together at 0 degrees Aries for many months. All right. So what we have too, we've got the nodes of the moon enter Virgo and Pisces on January 11th. And they're going to be there from January 11th, 2025 to July 27th, 2026. So the north node, the way forward, is in Pisces, and the south node, the past, is in Virgo. Now, when we're looking at the transiting nodes of the moon, the south node is usually what we are wanting to release. It's old patterns, it's old ways of being, but it's also gifts, and there is really an integration of the two. But the north node is the way forward. And so what these are asking us to do are to practice compassion, self-acceptance, compassion, and I would say forgiveness. It's about intuition and our creative potential, and to allow our intuition to guide us in our daily habits and routines, and to remember that you don't have to be perfect, but you do need to stay in touch with the Virgo talent for discernment and practicality, without getting too caught up in the details. So it is still an, what would you call, an integration of both sides, but it's about service to others, kindness and compassion, release of judgment and criticism. It's the practical mystic, walk in the practical path, or walk in the mystical path with practical feet. Well, the shadow, of course, is the victim savior axis. And so there may be an increased desire for rescuing. And so it's really important to be aware of that. And Neptune and Saturn in Pisces both conjunct the North Node. And to me, this is about shifting realities, the dissolution of boundaries, energetic and emotional. It's feeling part of something greater than yourself. It is a multidimensional kind of an aspect, bringing in unity consciousness. And Pisces, all of these planets in Pisces conjunct the North Node is really about it's surrender to a greater power. There are times we just have to let go. We don't have control. There's a lot of change happening, and there could well be conflict with all this Mars energy, and we're being asked to surrender to something and to be part of something greater than ourselves, to remember that we are part of something greater than ourselves. The North Node in Pisces is conjunct the stars of Pegasus, Scheat, and Markab. Pegasus is, of course, the magical horse. And Markab is at 23 degrees of Pisces. It indicates a divine messenger. And Scheat is at 29 degrees of Pisces, indicating we are receiving messages from the divine, that we are receiver and transmitter, and the signal will be very strong. And to really trust those messages, they are guiding us. It's about following the flow of energy and surrendering to something greater than ourselves, and to trust our inner guidance, because that is what is going to be really strongly tuned, okay, highly tuned. All right, now we have Venus. Venus goes retrograde. She is the planet that goes retrograde the least. She goes retrograde for 6 weeks, every 18 months, so not every year. And so she is retrograde at Aries 11 on March 1st, moves into Pisces, and she goes to Pisces 25 degrees on April 12th. Venus is, of course, goddess of love, creativity, and beauty. She represents what we value. It's about self-love and self-worth, as well as our emotionally bonded relationships with others. Venus in Aries is bold and assertive. The desire nature is strong and expressed spontaneously. And with Venus retrograde at 10 degrees Aries, we're being asked to reevaluate our relationships, values, and self-worth. And with Venus in Aries, we might find there is a stronger need for self-sovereignty in our relationships and the need to value ourselves by standing up for ourselves. And when Venus moves into Pisces, it's more about unconditional love, which is the gift, but we may also find ourselves back into old rescuing patterns. And so it's really important to be able to have these boundaries. I feel like all of this Aries is about personal sovereignty and then allowing others to have their own personal sovereignty. Okay. And it's important to note that they're at nine degrees of Aries is an eclipse. And we have Venus as well as Mercury going retrograde at 9 to 10 degrees of Venus goes retrograde at 10, Mercury goes retrograde at 9, and the eclipse is at 9 degrees of Aries. And the eclipse on March 29th has 5 points in Aries and 5 points in Pisces. So this energy is these two, the endings and the beginnings are just so pronounced. All right. Now we have the planet Neptune. All right. Neptune in Pisces enters Aries on March 30th. All right. And so Neptune, who is Neptune? Neptune is a higher or cosmic consciousness, helping us tap into spiritual dimensions. It brings us into feeling part of something greater than ourselves, unity consciousness, and a dissolution of ego and surrender to a higher power. Neptune always reminds me of that Hopi prophecy of where they, say, let go of the side and let the river take you. The river has a destination, even though you may not know it. And so with so much strong Neptunian energy, especially at the late degrees, it's about letting go so the new can be born. We really can't vision it until it gets here. All right. And Neptune is at home in Pisces as its ruler and has been there 14 years. So we have been learning some master Neptune Pisces teachings. Neptune and Pisces are watery, yin, and non-material, associated with esoteric matters and psychic and intuitive phenomenon, divination, channeling, as well as being empathic, compassionate, selfless, and forgiving. The lower expression of Neptune in Pisces can be very ungrounded, detached from reality, being prone to deception, self-deception, illusion, or delusion. Okay. Also, escapism, and there could be drugs and addiction. All right. But now Neptune is going to move into Aries for, let's see, I'm not sure how long. What did I say? Well, it moves in on March 30th, and it's going to be traveling from 0 to 2 degrees, and it's sometime in the fall. I thought I had this on here, but I don't. Let's see here. So Neptune returns to Pisces on October 22nd. That's right, October 22nd. So it's there from March 30th to October 22nd, so about 6 months. So much different energy. Neptune is still who Neptune is, but Aries is a much different energy for Neptune to be traveling in. And it can be a time of great wonder and impulse. No one alive today has Neptune in Aries. Neptune has a 144-year cycle, okay? And so it is a time where we boldly follow our intuition wherever it leads us. It allows us to have faith in ourselves and our ability to innovate, lead, and start anew. And it can really activate our talent by inspiring us to action and pioneering in art, music, fashion, and new approaches to spirituality can figure strongly. Compassionate acts can be a goal, and that we're ready to reject and do away with dogma. Aries can see things as black or white, but Neptune is a very nebulous kind of an energy, and it's about the direct connection with source, with creator. Okay. All right. And the shadow with Neptune and Pisces is we may not see ourselves clearly, or we might struggle with defining ourselves and our boundaries during this period, or presenting a false image of ourselves that we end up identifying with. That could be especially tempting during this time. That we may not see ourselves, we may be, our own ego identity may be going through some changes. Okay. All right. Right. And then it moves back into Pisces on October 22nd. All right. Saturn is in Pisces and enters Aries on May 24th, 25th. Saturn is in a sign 2.5 years, so he travels a lot more quickly. Saturn is the Lord of karma, and he brings limitations and growth through adversity. It is a maturation process. And Saturn is about how to navigate the denser dimensions of Earth and bring things into form. And so Saturn in Pisces has been about, and it is still straddling both signs. Like I said, it's going to also move back into Pisces. Well, I don't have that here. Right around the same time. I think it's just a little bit later. Let's see. So Saturn, let's see here. Saturn moves back into Pisces on, oh, right, September 1st. Right. Okay. September 1st. So anyway, Saturn in Pisces is creating form out of the formless. Brings up issues around emotional boundaries. It asks for spiritual discipline, and it's about practical intuition. When Saturn moves into Aries, Saturn likes Aries much better than Pisces. Saturn is about form and structure, and Pisces is so nebulous and formless, okay? Whereas Aries, it's a lot firmer, okay? So Saturn in Aries is taking a realistic approach to defining your identity and how you initiate action towards your goals. It represents an opportunity to create a new beginning in your life by empowering yourself, channeling your creative energy into authentic goals, and claiming one's personal authority and sovereignty. Now, Saturn and Neptune are traveling together for many months, for about 5 months. First in late Pisces and then in early Aries. And so in the late Pisces, it's shifting realities and time speeding up. In early Aries, it's really, to me, it's about giving birth to a new reality. It's traveling that Aries point, that 0 point. And it's Saturn and Neptune together is always about making our dreams real. It is about creating form out of the formless, bringing it in with Saturn and Neptune. And so in Aries, there's a new reality coming. Now they have their exact conjunction in 2026 where they're exactly together, but they're traveling together at 0 and 1 degrees Aries for about 5 months. Okay. All right. Now, the next planet we're going to talk about is Jupiter. And of course, Jupiter is in Gemini right now. It enters Cancer on June 9th and 10th. Jupiter is the largest planet, and Jupiter is said to be the Santa Claus of the zodiac. Jupiter brings blessings, opportunities, and opens doors. But the thing is often to go through the doors that open, other doors have to close. So it also brings endings. Jupiter also opens doors and closes doors, right? And the only shadow really is overextension or self-aggrandizement. But Jupiter, it really has a lovely energy. So Jupiter in Gemini, and he doesn't, once he goes into Cancer, he doesn't come back. He stays in Gemini. So he'll be in Gemini until June 9th, 10th. Okay. This transit encourages us to expand our minds and grow through the exchange of ideas and information. It brings growth and optimism to the Gemini area of your life, where you can improve your thinking and communication and develop new skills and interests. Now, as Jupiter's now at 11 degrees, and he's going to go direct in early February. And after that, he's going to activate all of the stars of Orion. And I'm not going to really talk a lot about that today, but when it comes, because there's so many stars of Orion that it is going to activate. And I think one of the things that I feel like it is doing is that, in the galactic history, there were the Orion Wars, and they went on for millions of years. They ultimately ascended into higher frequency dimensions through a process, and it was about the integration of dark and light, the integration of the shadow material, and they stopped the duality. They don't have the immense duality and polarity that we are experiencing here. And so they say that we are actually in the echoes of the Orion Wars, and there are many beings here from Orion, catalysts for our growth, as well as great spiritual teachers. And so I feel like that aspect may be activated so that we can proceed into the ascension process, because Jupiter then moves into Cancer, which is very much about heart opening. And it is through the heart that the new earth will emerge. This transit encourages us to expand through our home and family, and it's very much about being in touch with our feelings and our emotions. And Jupiter is conjunct the star Sirius, heart opening and connection with the Great Mother as well. And I do just want to show you, I've got an image here. Well, I did have, it looks like, oh, there we go. There we go. Well, darn it. Let me get this image up here. Well, I guess I've lost it. So anyway, I had a really lovely image of, of Orion and Sirius, but it seems to have disappeared. So anyway, now, all right, so we're also going to experience the last Jupiter square at 1 degree, 17 minutes of Cancer and Aries on June 15th, because they will have both moved. Jupiter will have moved into Cancer and Saturn into Aries, but Neptune is also there as well as joining this square. Okay. But first off, the square with Jupiter and Saturn represents a conflict between growth and limitation, and provides an opportunity to rethink anything in your life that isn't working. It encourages us to take a realistic approach towards building the future by taking practical steps to improve your life and developing greater faith in yourself. It's very much, I believe too, it's about places where we may have lost faith in ourselves and faith in the beneficence of the universe, and that this is coming back. And with Neptune, because with Neptune joining this square, it is allowing us once again to have that connection with source energy and trust the process. And it also is an energy of manifestation. Jupiter and Saturn together is about manifestation. And when we add Neptune, it brings in the quantum level. And I recently heard something that I thought was really good, because it's about becoming conscious co-creators of our reality. We don't create the whole reality. What we do is we're consciously co-creating it with the universe in the quantum field. And so we know that, thoughts, we say, thoughts create. Well, what I just recently came to understand on a deeper level is that thoughts are like the vehicle while emotions are like the fuel that drives the vehicle. So it's like everything is created from a baseline of frequency that pulses out into the universe and is reflected back to you. So we can say an affirmation, but if the underlying emotion is what the universe actually reflects back to us. And so the key is to work to change the internal frequency, to experience, to feel, let's say, whatever it is you are wanting in your life, love, to be loved, to feel love, to be the love in the world, because that is what is reflected back to you, to feel gratitude. And as you're feeling gratitude, all of the blessings come back. And this is saying over and over again. And this is a time of great potential manifestation in a co-creation process in the quantum field. All right. Now, something very exciting to me is that Uranus is changing signs in July. It's moving into Gemini on July 7th. Now, we'll only be there, let's see, from July 7th to, oh, darn it, I didn't write all these down. From July 7th to, when was it changing? Oh, right, November. All right, November looks like 8th. Okay, July 7th to November 8th. So that's about 4 months, 3 or 4 months, 5 months. Anyway, um, and so Uranus, what is the planet Uranus? Uranus is the planet that's known as the higher mind, the divine mind, whereas Mercury is the human mind. Uranus is the divine mind, mind of God. And it brings downloads, sudden aha moments, insights, but it always brings change. And it activates when we are stuck. And whenever a planet changes signs, things start happening. Okay. Even if you don't have this particular degree, which is going to travel into 0 to 1 degrees of Gemini, it really gets very active when it changes signs. Uranus rules the energy meridians and nervous systems in our bodies, and it impacts the weather. Now, Uranus is traveling first in Taurus from 23 to 29 degrees. Uranus is in a sign 7 years, so it's been in Taurus 7 years. And in Taurus, we've been seeing the physical upgrades to our body to increase holding the light. I feel like it is the activation of the new human template and the 12-strand DNA. It is about the connection to the consciousness of Mother Gaia. Mother Taurus is a sign very deeply connected to Mother Earth and her consciousness. And Uranus and Taurus has been teaching us the importance of staying in our bodies, connected to Mother Earth in these times of great change. Taurus, is that sign that says to be like the tree whose roots go deep down into the earth while the storm swirls around. And to know this is a very apt analogy for at least the first part of this year. I feel like there is a lot of rapid change happening in our field. Now, during this time, Uranus is also conjuncting the Pleiades. Now, I do have a picture of the Pleiades here. All right, I want to share this. All right, so here are the Pleiades, okay? And so we've got the seven sisters and Alcyone, I believe that is the Greek pronunciation, is called the Great Central Sun. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are the seven sisters, Pleione and Atlas. This is usually called Atlas, are the parents, but and actually it's really, these stars are really prominent in the sky right now, as are Orion and Sirius. They're all very prominent in the sky right now. Okay. And so Uranus is activating all of these, and really keep Alcyone, that is the English pronunciation. Really keep this star in mind. All right. So What does this actually mean with Uranus activating this? All right. So, okay. So, um, when it's okay, so the thing to remember, I think, right now, or the thing to understand, this is a very powerful activation. Uranus is the planet most aligned, Uranus and Aquarius, with our star nation relatives. And the Pleiadians have been very involved in the elevation of human consciousness, as have the Syrians and the Orions, in a much more direct way. There's other star nations, such as the Arcturians, Andromedans, and Lyrans, that have been very involved, but in a little, not as much in direct contact. But the Pleiadians have actually had the most contact. They say that the human and Pleiadian DNA is the most similar of all star nations. And there is a cosmology that I have been working with that I really enjoy, and it resonates as truth with me. And I don't have any validation other than my own intuitive guidance. And so, but what this says is that and now it is known that Alcyone is known as the great central sun of the Pleiades, and is actually made of several stars. But the cosmology that I'm speaking of is that it is said that Alcyone is always in the photon belt. It is directly aligned with the photon belt, of which our solar system is now transiting. It is an area of increased light in our galaxy. And it is said that we travel here for 2,000 years. And then we have it's a 13,000 year cycle. We spend 2,000 years in the photon belt and then 11,000 years in darkness, our solar system. Other planets, other stars have a different relationship, but this is our solar system. And so, and this always happens in the age of Aquarius and in the age of Leo. The last time that we were in the photon belt was during the age of Leo, and this was during the time of the emergence of Egypt after the fall of Atlantis and the cataclysms that happened. Or actually, they happened kind of partially in it and then emerged from it. Okay, there was a cataclysm, and then they emerged from it in the age of Leo in the photon belt. Okay. And so we are beginning this 2,000 years of remembering as we are aligned with Alcyone. And to know that it is about downloading, getting downloads, and Alcyone carries the original creation codes of Mother Earth. And so it is a time of remembering the original creation codes. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be doing a presentation, and I'll be sending out a notice about it for my galactic astrology group. And it is titled The Uranus Transit of the Pleiades and Remembering the Song of Creation, the original Song of Creation, because that is what all the native people are talking about as well. It's time to remember the original creation codes. Okay. And when we're in alignment with Alcyone, there is increased paranormal activity. And so for about 18 months, we're going to have very strong increased paranormal activity. And I feel like what this transit is doing is preparing us for open contact, which will happen in either 2026 or 2027. It's hard to know exactly, but it's really going to happen. And so what this is going to be doing to prepare us is activating our fifth dimensional experience, which is around love, creativity, and opening the heart chakra. That is why we're going through this really challenging Mars time, and to release all the old hurts that we've been holding on to let them go. It's about our Star Nation relatives want us to know that they are here, and they're going to make themselves more known, increase telepathic communication, and opening Pleiadian stargates. Um, many of the indigenous people have really ancient Pleiadian stargates on their property. Not on their property, on their land. And one was just recently opened in Uluru with the Aboriginal people of Australia. And it is a Pleiadian stargate. And that was opened by a group of people working with the native Aboriginal people. And there are many indigenous people connected to the Pleiadians. We have the Maya, the Hopi, the Cherokee, the Lakota, and many, many more. And it is said there are other stargates. And I have heard that the Devil's Tower on Lakota land is actually a Pleiadian stargate. And I don't know if this is true, but it certainly could be. So if you're interested in the Pleiadians and this activation by Uranus, I will be sharing that video in the not too distant future. All right. Now, but back to Uranus itself in Gemini is traveling from 0 degrees to 1 degree, 27 minutes. It's about, to me, it's about the acceleration and the opening of consciousness. Humanity will experience a new spectrum of sound, light, frequency, and sacred geometry patterns. And the most important thing, of course, once again, it is to anchor to a reality based in our own consciousness rather than the outside world. It's how to navigate these times of great change when everything is changing rapidly. And as we talked about, too, there's, tremendous potential for technological growth. And but to have our reality based in our own consciousness is what is going to allow us to space travel. It's not just the technology, it's our own consciousness of how we can make these shifts, okay? And with air signs, it's also important to remember to breathe, that your breath is your friend. It will actually help elevate consciousness to breathe properly as it allows more prana. It's about no longer being attached to how things have been done as new solutions abound. But it can also bring increased difficulty focusing. There's a real need to care for your nervous system because you might feel like your finger is in an electric socket. Now, Uranus during this time is conjunct the dwarf planet Sedna. And to me, Sedna is about our destiny. It is about the sacrifices that need to be made to access our destiny. And Pluto, excuse me, and Uranus during this time is trine Pluto, and that is a beautiful trine. Many technological advances in the outer world may show up, such as hover cars, increased use of virtual reality, holograms, AI, many different things. And they all come with the shadow, but right use of them can accelerate our growth in consciousness. And it's also about developing our inner technology and psychic skills. Okay. And then one more thing here, and this is that Uranus, there's what is called a minor grand trine. And it's a trine between Uranus and Pluto, and they both sextile the conjunction of Saturn and Neptune. Okay. And so that becomes like the focal point, the midpoint. It's like the focal point and the midpoint. Okay. And minor triangles are supportive configurations with dynamic potential. They are more active than grand trines as the energy is channeled and focused through the apex planet. In this case, it's the Saturn Neptune in Aries. And actually, this is going on from August to December. All right. Pluto and Uranus in air signs serve as the supporting pillars, facilitating breakthroughs through information, communication, and technology. And these advancements will fuel the birth of the new paradigm that the Saturn, Neptune, and Aries, and bringing about a new understanding of life, creation, and the very concept of existence itself. It's really powerful stuff. We once again too have Mercury retrograde. I'm not going to go into them, but we have it started. It's on March 14th at Aries 9 degrees, July 18th at Leo 6 degrees, and on November 9th, Sagittarius 6 degrees. We have a lunar eclipse at Virgo 24 degrees on March 13, 14. A solar eclipse at 9 degrees of Aries on March 29th, basically 4 p.m. Pacific or 4 a.m. Pacific. A lunar eclipse at 16 Pisces on September 7th, and a solar eclipse at 29 Virgo on September 21st. All right. So it's a very exciting year, and I'm very excited for it, although I know the first part of the year is challenging, but it's about our growth and about our healing so that we really can step into this ascension process, into these new frequency dimensions and creating a new earth and the work that we need to do. All right. So wishing you all a wonderful new year. I do want to share that I am if you're interested in seeing how this energy affects your chart, I am offering a discount for readings that 15% discount from the first 3 months, January, February, and March. If you contact me, and all of the information is in the description box below. And if you like this video, please check like and subscribe and share. All right. Once again, wishing you a wonderful new year, and namaste and many blessings. Aho.